You are not safe. The Wall Street Journal warns Trump allies of one chilling lesson from the John Bolton indictment. And I am done paying attention to this absurdity. We hear it over and over again that when Democrats get back into power, you'll regret going after your political enemies, Trump. Well, most of you have been paying attention. You've been watching shows like mine or others, perhaps Viva Fry, Steven Crowder, Jeremy over at the Quartering. And so you're well aware of the cultural and political effects of what the Democrats have done, what Trump is doing, and what is to come. The argument, of course, is that with the indictment of John Bolton, who's now turned himself in, is my understanding. Oh, boy, you better hope and pray, because if Democrats get back into power, they'll get revenge. Let me tell you this right now, my friends. I have no long-term concerns in the forefront of my mind. Let me stress this. When I am thinking about what is going on in this country and what my immediate concerns are, I already know that we're a few years out from oblivion. I get it. You don't need to warn me. But if we're talking about a Democratic Party that has already hunted down Trump supporters nationwide, that has already arrested lawyers, chauffeurs, perp-walked individuals like Roger Stone, put journalists in leg shackles, falsely accused others of running or being involved in disinformation campaigns targeting opposition media, you are not safe? Bro, the indictment of Bolton doesn't move the needle for me at all. You want to tell me that I'm not safe? I'm not concerned about what Democrats may or may not do later on. I am concerned right now about what is going on in Chicago. And oh boy, welcome to the fray. Because I will ask all of you this right now. A series of questions that I have asked on Timcast IRL, got much flack for. Let's start here before we go through this article and then everything I have to add. Let's start here. Should federal law enforcement agents, ICE, DHS, CBP, whatever, be allowed to wear masks? Yes or no? Follow-up question. What do you believe would happen in Chicago, Portland, California, in these jurisdictions, were these individuals to not wear masks? I already know the answers because I've read all the stories. I read all the op-eds, had all the debates. So let's mark where we're at. Most of you believe they should be allowed to wear masks. Okay. California says they can't starting January 1st. Just put a pin in that one. What happens if these officers do not wear the masks? Well, the argument is that they will be doxxed, their identities revealed, and they will be threatened or killed. Cartel members who have already placed bounties on these officers' heads have incentivized the murder of these officers and their families. Okay. If you agree with those assessments of what is likely to happen, not guarantee, which is what the argument is for most people, what would happen after federal law enforcement agents are found slaughtered in their homes and their wives and children? Right. Trump, Insurrection Act, all of that stuff, right? If you truly believe that there is a legitimate threat that leftists, gangs, and cartels will hunt down and murder ICE agents and their families, you're in a war. And it is ridiculous to make the argument that we are in any kind of stable time period. I will say it again. If you truly believe this, then you're at war. And Trump needs to do a lot more than just sending in a handful of feds to go and round up illegal immigrants. Now, maybe some would say, no, it's not quite war, it's civil strife. Again, if the argument is they're going to hunt down and murder ICE agents, yeah, I think we've moved beyond that because now we have factionalized murder of another faction. A disregard for federal law and authority, active rebellion against the federal government. Now, in my opinion, law enforcement officers should not be patrolling our neighborhoods wearing masks. If it's cold out, fine. But my point is for the purpose of concealing one's identity. But the argument is that these leftists are an enemy faction who will seek to murder these law enforcement agents. In fact, Antifa makes a similar argument as to why they wear masks, because the state will try to kill them too, which they won't, but they may get arrested. You are not safe, says Mediaite. Okay, what's the argument? The Wall Street Journal's editorial board warned allies of Trump on Friday to take careful note of the lesson that former National Security Advisor John Bolton's indictment means for them. You are not safe. In a scathing column, the Journal accused prosecutors of fulfilling Trump's long-stated call to punish his former national security advisor and frequent critic. Blah, blah, blah. James Comey, Letitia James. Bolton was charged. This we understand. But the board's warning was broader, less about Bolton himself than the message his case sends to Trump allies and how working for the president is a dangerous job. Excuse me. The lesson is that if you work for the president, he then sours on you and you criticize him, you are not safe. Trump has publicly called for Bolton's prosecution. He released massive amounts of classified and confidential, but classified information. That's illegal and you go to jail for that. The board drew a pointed comparison between Bolton's case and Trump's own dismissed classified documents indictment, nodding back to its previous warning that pursuing Trump in that case was a bad road for Democrats to go down. They're basically saying Trump will turn on you, which is silly. And this is the point. Everybody who worked for Trump in the first administration knew full well what was going to happen to them, what Democrats were doing to them. Well, maybe not everybody. Jenna Ellis dropped to her knees like a coward and begged and pleaded with the enemy. She was Trump's lawyer in his election challenge, which he is entitled to. Maybe you'd argue he's wrong. That's fine. It was always allowed. But Trump is certainly allowed legal representation. And they charged his lawyer under RICO for simply drafting a letter. They said it was part of a criminal conspiracy. That's right. Filing a legal challenge, which of course Trump lost, was a criminal conspiracy, they said. So you say you are not safe? You think these people don't know that? Let's talk about where we are. From Reuters. Chicago mayor says police will not aid federal troops or agents. August 31st, 2025. Okay. From The Guardian. This one's new. Judge orders federal immigration officers in Chicago area to wear body cameras. Agents also appear to have violated an order banning them from using riot control, such as tear gas without warning. Huh. I don't think a judge has the authority to order police to wear body cameras. They don't. And these officers are allowed to defend themselves when attacked. But this is the game that is being played. And wait, there's more. From PBS. Let me pull up this story. It's a bit long. And we're looking for the word investigation. Protests outside have become tense with near daily arrests. Civil rights organizations have blasted aggressive tactics by agents, while village officials have launched 3 separate criminal investigations against federal agents. Oh, boy. This weekend, the No Kings protest will take place across the country. And what we are going to see, well, we don't know for sure. Millions of people are expected to march. And in Chicago, a judge has ruled they cannot guard their facility with barricades. Trump is barred from deploying the National Guard, which is insane considering a massive protest is planned and deploying the National Guard is fairly routine. They are seeking to criminally charge federal agents. They have barred them from using riot control. And here's where it gets really scary. Let me pull up this up from ChatGPT. Now, I already pulled up the Reuters article, but I've got a series of questions I have asked ChatGPT. And the important section here is the reported incidents in which Chicago police were instructed not to come to the assistance of DHS. What do you think happens then? Bounties have been placed on federal agents' heads. There's a fear that they will be doxxed, hunted down, and killed, and their families. When police officers for the federal government, ICE, DHS, were rammed and attacked by far leftists, CPD were instructed to stand down. Other villages are actually trying to use their police to criminally charge DHS. Let's add on top of this, a police officer in Hanover Park was arrested for being an illegal alien. So these police stations actually have illegal immigrant officers. Do you think they'll just go quietly when DHS comes to arrest them? Do you think these villages that have empowered these illegal immigrants will just sit back? I think the answer is largely no. So let's talk about where we are and what we should fear and why we may be in trouble. I asked ChatGPT, search the web for stories of DHS officers getting rammed in their vehicles in the past couple of months. Key incidents. October 25th, East Side, 105th Street and Avenue N. A vehicle rammed Border Patrol and federal agents. This is where tensions escalated and tear gas was launched after locals aided and abetted the illegals who attacked ICE. Also in October, Miramar Martinez allegedly rammed a car into agents on October 4th, charged with assault on federal employees for ramming her vehicle into federal agents in Brighton Park. September 2025, ICE officer shot a driver who rammed an officer. Franklin Park. An ICE officer fatally shot a man, Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, during an attempted arrest, according to DHS. The suspect drove his car rammed the officer and dragged him, prompting the shooting. A similar thing happened in Florida around the same time, mind you. October 2025, DHS announces vehicles used as weapon attacks. On the 2nd, DHS itself published a statement saying 2 vehicles were used as weapons against ICE in separate incidents near Chicago. I then asked, search for any information about Chicago police refusing to support federal law enforcement, of course. Numerous stories, like the one I already showed you from Reuters. DHS issued a statement saying Pritzker's Chicago police is refusing to assist DHS. Mayoral city policy refusing cooperation with federal deployments. So let's say you're a cartel member and you see in the press, in the instance that federal officers are attacked, shot, killed, whatever may happen, Chicago police will not come to their aid. That's open season. Here's more. Search for any information about criminal cases potentially being sought against federal agents over immigration raids. And of course, I already showed you this. They did. Village Municipal Criminal Investigations. And so here we are. Search for any story from this year about DHS being attacked, shot at, or ambushed. Yup. Several. The sniper attack at the Dallas Ice Field office, the ambush attempt at Alvarado, Texas, vehicles used as weapons in the Chicago area, the ambush and shooting of a CBP officer. I'm not sure. This is interesting. DHS posted a video and announcement that a CBP officer was ambushed and shot by an illegal alien off duty and off post. You also had the Zizian cult attack of a CBP agent in, I think this was Maine. So here we are. You tell me. You better not work for Trump. Oh, you better be worried. From the Post-Millennial. Woman charged for threatening to kill federal agents, shouting Charlie Kirk died and we love it in Massachusetts. Terrell was arrested shortly after the incident and will make her initial appearance in court in Boston. From Signal. 42% of liberals approve of lawbreaking in response to disagreeing with a government action. You have the nerve to say to me, you have the nerve to say to Trump staff, you are not safe? What a ridiculous, ridiculous notion. These people know full well they're not safe. And it's not just the people who work for Trump, nor the argument that Trump is the real threat to them. Bolton had documents. He broke the law. He aligned himself with the far left. Now, by all means, make the argument, you better not turn on Trump. I'd argue, yeah, okay. The disloyal will find comeuppance. But let me tell you about how we feel here. Charlie Kirk is dead. And it wasn't Trump who did it. At the bare minimum, you want to argue it wasn't Tyler Robinson, you don't know for sure, the story doesn't add up. 7 social media accounts from transgender individuals expressed foreknowledge of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So we don't know. And I think it's fine to say nothing's definitive. Robinson is the principal suspect. Candace Owens, I think, the people are putting out statements. I'm not familiar with the content that it wasn't him. Fine. Maybe. Then how did these trans individuals know in advance? So who did it? Well, Charlie's dead. And I've had people come to me and ask me if did that really happen? And it's a shockingly crazy thing to say. Now, you can argue we don't know who did it. Charlie lost his life. Benny Johnson received a death threat, more than one. DOJ arrested the guy. We have received a plethora of death threats. We're in contact with the FBI, hopefully. The FBI additionally catches this individual, and we get a press conference all the same. So you tell Trump staff you're not safe because Bolton was indicted? How laughably absurd. We are not safe because far-left extremists are attacking police, committing acts of terror repeatedly, and it's only gotten worse. Do you guys remember Cop City? Where was this, in Atlanta? Where far-left extremists stormed into the property and were destroying it, and one of these guys turned out to be a lawyer for a leftist NGO. It is patently obvious to anyone with eyes. We are not safe. I don't have security guards because I worry Donald Trump might come after me. I don't worry that criticizing or calling out Trump would result in any negative action upon me. I've criticized him plenty. In fact, there are many prominent leftists and liberals who have insulted Trump substantially more so than I, and they're fine. Trump didn't launch any criminal charges against the Krasensteins. And that brings us to, I guess we can call it, I call it Walsh's wager. Matt Walsh never said this, but I'm giving him credit for it because I'm not going to name it after myself. And Walsh's wager, it's alliterative. It kind of flows, right? If you're on the left and the left wins the culture war, you're happy as a pig in ish. If you're on the left and the right wins the culture war, you're not so happy, but you're fine, you're safe, and you'll go about your life. If you are on the right and the right wins the culture war, you're happy. But if you are on the right and the left wins the culture war, you are in serious danger. You may be killed. You will be imprisoned, gulagged, smeared, lied, destroyed. They will take resources from you. They'll destroy your jobs, depending on the scale to which you are aiding the right. And so many prominent people in the middle have cowered in fear because the left is willing to use terrorism to get what they want. People who over the past year were supporting Trump now coming out saying, maybe Trump should be deporting all of these people. Your virtue signal is meaningless. The cult will come for you all the same. Run it, run from it, hide. It doesn't matter. They know what you said. And if they're willing to track down 10-year-old comments from a comedian, your support of Trump is a hell-worthy trespass. So am I not safe? Are others in the Trump administration not safe? We were all made aware of this when they accused Trump of being a traitor to his country, when they sought to imprison him, when they hunted down Trump supporters across the country, or sentenced Proud Boys to 20 years in prison, or put journalists in leg shackles. They did all that. I don't need your reminder. I need Bolton and the rest of his ilk in prison. I need Trump to take this seriously. I need federal law enforcement to be acting as if it's more than just some arrests we will be engaging in. Because I will say it again. If you truly believe that our law enforcement will be doxxed and then murdered in their homes, you're at war. Now, maybe you're going to say to me, well, maybe that wouldn't really happen. Because, come on, tell me your logic. Seriously, comment. Let's hear it. You believe that there is a coordinated faction of individuals gathering intelligence on federal law enforcement. Once they have pictures of these individuals' faces, they will find out where they live, and someone will murder them, their families and their children. Thus, many others will flee law enforcement and not do their jobs. You believe that's what's going to happen? I'm not saying you're wrong. I think you're probably right if that's the case. Some might say no. Wouldn't happen. Call it optimism bias, call it normalcy bias, call it whatever you want. I don't want to live in a society where our police have their identities shielded. That being said, if we are well beyond this concept of just general policing and we truly are in some kind of war, well then, yeah, you can do a lot more than wear a mask then, right? I mean, these guys should be going out with plate carriers, with APCs. We should be sending in the National Guard, invoking the Insurrection Act. This limbo middle ground thing is what I have a problem with, truly. That we are going to send federal law enforcement masked up under the guise of its standard law enforcement, while simultaneously arguing that these men will be murdered by assassins in their sleep, should they figure out what's going on. Seems to me that we're at war and both sides are just biding their time. In Chicago, it's gotten particularly bad, as I've already outlined throughout this segment. I will not be going back to Chicago anytime soon. It was bad enough that they tried planting drugs in my car and held me and my friends at gunpoint 13 years ago, and it's a long time, right? But I wouldn't put it past them. We don't know exactly who killed Charlie Kirk. We have a general idea, though many people question the evidence, and I think that's fine. At the bare minimum, we can see that these transgender left-aligned individuals somehow had foreknowledge. They appeared to. So the evidence points in this direction. If these ideologues are willing to kill Charlie Kirk, if the police equal ideologues in Portland would arrest Nick Sorter and other conservatives who did committed no crime, what do you think they will do to you? And will anyone be able to save you? It would be so easy. If I were to take a trip to Chicago, I deboard the plane. There's some cops waiting right when I get off, and they say, Mr. Poole, right this way. We got a tip from someone on the plane. Drug use. That's absurd. I don't do drugs. I don't even drink. I think the last time I had a drink was on stream a month ago. I have about 1 glass per year, if that. Doesn't matter. They do a frisk with a little baggie in their palm and say, look what we found. Prove otherwise. And then I'm in prison. Now you may be saying, Tim, you're paranoid. Look up the story of when they tried to plant the drugs in our car in Chicago. I'm not paranoid. They've tried to do it before. Charlie Kirk is dead. They killed him. Planting drugs on somebody, that's less than 1/10 of murder. Why wouldn't they? But let's be real. Nick Sorter got attacked in Portland. They arrested him. Andino reported several other conservatives who got attacked. The police arrested them. It is already happening. I am not being paranoid or thinking that some astronomical odds could occur. I am saying outright, police in Portland are already arresting innocent conservatives for being enemies of their ideology. Charlie Kirk was murdered, and they tried to kill Trump too. You are not safe. I think we already knew that, Wall Street Journal. Smash the like button, share the show, stay tuned. More to come. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all in the next segment.